Good morning, everybody. It's Jeff Goldberg for the Sales Pro Network. Usually I have to look at my calendar to remember what day it is, but I actually do because it's my birthday. So it's Friday, May 3rd, 2024. For those of you who have not joined us before and who don't know me and know that it's my birthday, I am a sales coach and trainer. I work with both individuals and organizations internationally to do one thing and one thing only: help them attain measurable and sustainable sales increases. And I founded the Sales Pro Network about 3.5 years ago to elevate the profession of sales, to give salespeople a place where they can hang out, network, and learn from each other. And if you've been with us before, you know that every Friday at 10 a.m., we either do a live training or a live broadcast with somebody who can add value to the profession of sales. And of course, I brought you another wonderful guest who's been our guest at least twice or three times before. If you're watching us live, please feel free to put some comments in, and I will absolutely pass any questions you have for our guest. She helps people accelerate their LinkedIn learning curve. She is the founder and president of Beth Granger Consulting. Please welcome my friend, Beth Granger. Hi, Beth. Good morning.
Great to be here. Happy birthday.
Thank you, Beth. At my age, I don't really count them anymore, but it's a kind of a milestone. If you like the movie Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and by the way, my oldest daughter called me this morning and said, it's Bill and Ted Day, so all good. Beth, before I get into the 1,000,001 questions I have for you, because I'm a huge fan of LinkedIn and you're one of my favorite gurus, can you just tell everybody who doesn't know you a little bit about your background and what brought you up to this point?
Sure. Well, to condense a very long career history, I actually started as a graphic designer and art director, and started my business about 14 years ago without a business plan. Just started helping people with all different things in my area of expertise, which was broad. It was digital marketing, social media, etc. And one of my clients said, "Hey, our sales team's coming in next month. Can you teach them how to use LinkedIn?" And at that time, I thought, why would you need to be taught that? And you're going to pay me to teach you that? And it just sent me down this path where it was just this perfect fit for me, because I get to be like a detective, figuring out what to do with new features, how to behave, what to do. And I love working with individuals and organizations to help them know what to say on the platform, know how to behave, know what not to do. And I love it.
Well, that's some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today. So do you have like a main key? What's your key philosophy for using LinkedIn?
Really simple. If you're ever wondering, should I say that thing? Should I behave that way? Imagine you were in a room full of people in person and you were speaking to somebody. Would you say that thing to them? Would you take that behavior, or would they turn around and walk away? Or even worse, would they slap you in the face and then turn around and walk away? It's pretty simple. I think people worry all the time. Should I say this? Should I do this thing? And if you think of it as just a human interaction, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, I think that's true for all social media. I'm on Facebook a lot, and this group was founded on Facebook, the Sales Pro Network, and a lot of people have big, shall we say, cojones in the things that they post that I don't think they'd ever say to somebody face to face. And if they did, it could mean real trouble for one or the other. LinkedIn always seems to be coming out with new stuff, not on a daily basis, but pretty often. That's besides changing the algorithm, which happens minute by minute. I don't know how you gurus stay up with it. But what are some of the newer features of LinkedIn?
So the one that was just a couple of days ago, and you might think, what's going on? They actually launched 3 games. So you know how in the morning, my routine in the morning is Wordle, mini crossword, connections, strands, and now I've added the 3 LinkedIn games. And when I first heard about it, it was very strange. Like, why games, LinkedIn, what? And so behind the scenes, is it because they want people to spend more time on the platform? Is it, they say you can compete with other people? And I don't know yet. It's too new. But all I know is I'm already hooked on those 3 games. So if you go to linkedin.com/games, you can find them. Yeah, I don't know what it has to do with careers and business, and maybe not. Maybe it is just to get people to spend more time there, but I am enjoying them.
Gotcha. Yeah, you beat me to it because that's one of my questions for later. I only saw it today. I do research on all my guests, even though you and I know each other well. I'm still going to research and see what questions I can come up that would give you a chance to help our audience. And I saw this morning LinkedIn games, which I had never seen before. And I'm like, oh boy, do I even want to look at this? Because I don't need one more distraction in my life. Way too much of my brain in my life. I guess
there are two other things that I'll add that are new. One is a premium version, so that's a paid version for company pages.
Yep, I want to know about that too.
That's slowly, like I don't have access to it yet on any of the company pages that I have admin rights to. Let's just say I'm not convinced. I think for larger companies who are constantly hiring, for instance, it could be worth trying it. When I do have access, I will try it for at least a month just so I can advise people. But my initial instinct is that I'm not sure it's worth the money for what people get for it, but let's see. Who knows?
I think it's about $100 a month, right?
They're not being very transparent about that. When you go to the page with information, the options it says are try company page premium for $0. So they're not really saying, which always makes me nervous. What does that mean? I've heard people say around $70 a month. I've heard people say $99. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that makes me nervous too. Just like somebody who doesn't have a profile picture. That makes me nervous too.
Yeah.
I think, I'm no LinkedIn expert. I come to people like you for the expertise, but I do get asked all the time about things on LinkedIn as part of sales. And to me, one of the most basic thing is have a good a picture and not you holding a fish, have a professional photo. And, when I say a professional photo, it doesn't mean you go have to spend $200-300 for a headshot. Everybody's phone today, has a great camera in it. Have somebody take a good shot of you and be facing the camera, have a smile on your face. Because people, I know for me, for a fact, before I'm going to do business with anybody, first thing I'm doing, I'm checking their LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
And if the profile doesn't look good, it's going to affect the way I interact with you when you're trying to sell me something. Besides the games and this upcoming premium thing for businesses, are there any recent changes or upcoming changes that we need to be aware of?
Yeah. So a change that I just got within the last week is, so there's a section some people have called services, which used to be a little gray blue box kind of under their headline that said services provided, and you could pick from a very limited list, unfortunately.
Yes.
So now that is much bigger. It's a big section, kind of the size of the featured section, above the featured section. And in fact, I now have to go and be strategic because the information I had put on that page, which was kind of hidden for, is now very visible, and I had duplicate content to what was in my featured section. So I have to go make some decisions about what content, what media I want there. So you can have media up to 8 things. You can have a short description about the services you provide. And you can have both reviews, like where people pick up to 5 stars, and written reviews for your services. So that's going to take some different strategies, especially because the section is so big and noticeable and before the featured section.
And is that on everybody's profile now?
No. Well, if you had the featured section, I mean the services section, it is moving to that bigger space.
Got it. So, because I know that for me, I think I know what you're talking about. I'm
going to go look at yours. I'm going to go look at yours.
Sorry?
I'm going to go look at yours right now.
I'm looking at mine too right now. Oh yeah, there it is. Services. Okay, got it. So it looks like I need to expand that one. Okay. Yeah, because I know that it had a very limited offering, like consulting. And yes, I do consulting, but that's not really my main gig. It didn't offer me a good description of what I needed.
The other thing is that I think when I first signed up for it, it was connected to what do they call it, ProFinder, when they had that ProFinder thing. And so I put public speaking. The categories are very limited. So I picked public speaking because I speak, but the requests I kept getting were from people looking for help with their public speaking. So I could send them off to all the people I know who do that, but I took that one off, for instance. And they don't have every type of service that somebody might provide listed. So
Right.
and you can't write them in. You have to pick from their list. And
All right.
I saw that Jeff said that there may be some premium options. I hadn't heard that. I'll have to go investigate. Thank you.
Okay. He also said namaste.
He says that. That's his thing. Namaste, Jeff.
And Bruce Castleman, one of our oldest members and most active, said, discuss what took place with LinkedIn that I had the other day when somebody actually tried to solicit business for me, even though I already told him no. So Bruce is a financial advisor, and a coach had reached out to him and said, hey, I'd love to talk to you about coaching. And he said, thanks, I've already got 2 coaches. I'm not interested. This guy keeps on pressing him and pressing him. I can see by the eye roll that I'm guessing you're against that. Would you like to speak to that a little bit?
So I have a webinar that I did that I definitely need to redo because I'm sure I have more things, but it was called 9 LinkedIn landmines and what not to do on LinkedIn. And people, first of all, people hate the connect and pitch. And now people are pitching in the connection invite, and the pushy sales behavior. People hate it everywhere, right? LinkedIn's no different. People hate it in email. They hate it on the phone. They hate it in person. Yeah. And for that person who said that, Bruce, you can block the person. I haven't blocked very many people. I've been lucky I haven't had to, but you can block them. So if you don't want to hear from them, they can't engage with you any further. But some people just can't take a hint, I guess.
Yeah, much like in dating, no should mean no. No does not mean try to push me a little harder and convince me. And when I teach salespeople how to sell, I talk about the same thing. That doesn't mean a firm, a weak no doesn't mean I might need a little more information. If you give me that, I might change my mind. But right. There does come a point in sales, and I disagree with a lot of trainers about this one. No just means no, and it's time to say, glad we spoke. If you ever change your mind, let me know, and then move on to somebody who may be interested. I mean, there's too many people out there who need whatever it is that you sell. And when I say you, I don't mean you, Beth, but that's certainly true too. But any of us sell. Why would I want to waste my time with people who are saying, thanks, Jeff, but no thanks, not interested? Yeah. I'm not here to push anybody. I'm not here to convince anybody. I'm not here to persuade anybody. And I know that, again, goes against what most sales training experts have to say. You got to convince and persuade and talk people into things. I disagree. What you have to do is find enough prospects who are interested in what you've got so that you're not trying to persuade or convince them. You're just having a conversation where they end up choosing to do business with you. That whole pushy, look, you know me a long time, Beth. I've been in sales a very long time, and I know how to do pushy sales. I sold Encyclopedia Britannica door to door. It was a very pushy sale. That stuff just doesn't work anymore. The pushy salesperson, that ended like 30 years ago, and the people who are still trying to be pushy, convince, persuade, it just doesn't make sense. Jeff Young has a question. Have you seen the new Ring Bell options, Beth? I don't have that one yet.
I have not. What are they? Put them in the chat.
Jeff, if you got them in the chat, please let us know. He also said the separate services section is free, but there might be other. Oh, we already talked about that. Okay. Yep. So you brought up something again, just as I was about to. You do a talk on 9 LinkedIn landmines. You gave us one. What are some of the other landmines we should avoid? And that big one, and you and I have talked about this many times, is don't pitch slap people. Don't connect and immediately pitch, build a relationship and earn the right to have a conversation. But are there other LinkedIn landmines that we should avoid?
Oh, so some of them aren't as drastic or as big as that one, but there's some things that can be very annoying. Years ago, I went to an event, met somebody there, and they tagged me in a post. Great, right? Just met Beth. Fine. They started mentioning me in every single post they did. It could have been, I just learned to change a tire at Beth Granger. And what they were trying to do was get me to engage with their content, which no, tag if it makes sense, right? There are other ways if you really need me to see your content and you are afraid that I'm not going to, there are other ways to get me to see it. But tagging, it was just annoying because it was trying to get me to engage so that my network would meet that. I don't really know what the thinking was. And
it's like the highlight feature on Facebook. You highlight, everybody sees it, like, thank you. I'm not interested.
Exactly. Those are 2 of my favorites. Don't think we have time to go into all 9, and I'm sure there are more than 9 now. As they add new features, there are things that annoy people. But and really, we already talked about just not being pushy in general, in anywhere in the messages and in your behavior. So
Yeah, to me, the philosophy is, make genuine connections and serve people.
yeah,
I mean, people are often stunned when I tell them I get 30% of my business from LinkedIn. And they're not stunned that I get 30% of my business, but they're stunned how I get that business, because it's not me reaching out to people and saying,
yeah,
hey, do you need any sales coaching or sales training? Do you want to join my sales community? Do you want my online programs? There's none of that going on for me. It's simply people reaching out to me because they like the content I'm posting, what I call content marketing. Maybe there's an official name for it, or maybe that's the right one. But all I do is post on a daily basis, giving people information that I think will help them based on what I have to offer. And some of those people, and that does account for a third of my business, some of those people reach out to me and say, hey, really like what you're posting. I've been following you for a while. Can we talk about fill in the blank? To me, that it's coming from that place of service where, of course, I'm not doing it for my health. I'm not doing it just to be a nice guy, although I do like an audience and I like when people say good things about the things I post, but I'm doing it for a specific reason, which is to avoid having to do all that other stuff that I don't like, that I love to teach other people to do, but don't want to do, like cold calling.
I'm never going to cold call. No, even if you taught me how, not happening.
And neither am I. Well, I do it once a month to make sure that what I'm teaching people is working, but I don't want to do it. And that's why I become good at two of the things that you are expert at,
Thank you.
LinkedIn and networking. I know a lot of people are concerned with, how much time is enough time on LinkedIn each day? Do I devote half my day to LinkedIn? Is it 2 minutes? So how much time should the typical salesperson invest on LinkedIn? And what if they've only got a really short amount of time, like 5 minutes? I can only spare 5 minutes a day, Beth.
Yeah.
What should they be doing?
Well, so that's all. It's going to be different for everybody, right? There are things that, for instance, I recommend you do every day, like check your incoming messages, check your incoming connection invites, see who looked at your profile, things like that. If you only have 5 minutes, those are kind of the things I do. I look at incoming invites, messages, because what if it's important? What if it's somebody who wants to talk to me about something, work-wise?
Yeah.
And I love to look at who viewed my profile because I actually act on that. Not everybody does. Some people, it's just a curiosity thing. And don't tell anybody. I'll tell you what I do. So the first time this happened, a first connection, so somebody I knew, I hadn't talked to him in months and months, looked at my profile. Well, there's a reason, right? I don't know what that reason is. Could be nothing, could be minding my connections, see how to spell my name, who knows? I reached out and I said, hey, Manny, notice you stopped by my profile. Well, he picked up the phone and said, Susan, a common connection, said you're the person to talk to about some LinkedIn training. And that turned into a client. If I hadn't noticed that and responded, and notice I didn't say, what do you want? Right? It was just noticing that he had been there. What if Susan gave him 3 names? She didn't. But what if he called someone else first? What if he got too busy and didn't reach out? So by noticing, it's sort of a trigger to reconnect with somebody, for someone that you actually know, or at least are connected with. And then with second connections, a similar thing. There's a reason that they stop by. I don't know what it is. I don't respond to all of them, but if it's somebody that either is in an industry that's interesting, or I just have some curiosity about it, I might reach out to that person to say, hey, I'm so curious what brought you to my profile. Can I help you in any way?
Non-pushy, interested in them. And sometimes I would guess the answer is going to be, no, I was just checking you out, or no answer whatsoever.
Yep.
But like you said, sometimes it's the little push that somebody needs. And I don't mean you were being pushy. It's that little push that they need to actually have that conversation. Because if you hadn't, he might have just been thinking about this for the next few months, or might have gone on to somebody else. So
Yeah.
I think that's brilliant. Jeff says the bell has expanded options in manage notifications about first name, last name, pop up to bells. All right. I'm not sure exactly what all these emojis mean, but sounds like Jeff has some stuff to tell us.
And you know what? No, whenever they say all, they don't really mean all, which is frustrating that they call it all. But it's still always a percent. It's some unsaid number. You're not going to ever see all, truly all. But
gotcha.
Don't know where that is.
you mentioned being able to look at the people who have visited your profile. With the free version, you have a very limited access to that. Obviously, you have Sales Navigator. Can you speak about that a little bit? Because I get that question all the time. Should I be using Sales Navigator? I only started using it about 7 months ago, but I mean, I think there are some distinct advantages, and it's called Sales Navigator for a reason. Can you give us, I'm assuming you agree that most people should have, or most people in sales, but can you give us the advantages and disadvantages? Why should we have Sales Navigator? What's it used for?
So I think of it like a gym membership. Any of the paid versions. If you use them, you're going to see results. Or if you use them appropriately, you're going to see results. For many people, if you aren't in sales, or if sales is only a part of what you do, you may actually not need it. Because if you're not hitting roadblocks, or if you're able to do all the things that you want to do in the free version, great. There's some things in Sales Navigator that are amazing for specific people. The ability to search more specifically, for instance, or if the size of a company matters to you, you can search that. If you want to know if somebody's been active on LinkedIn, although that search to me is not 100% right all the time. Sometimes it says someone's been active and then you go and they haven't. But the ability to do a much more specific search than you can, and track using all the different tools, track it. There is a learning curve, right? Premium is just additional features on top of the LinkedIn you already know and love, hopefully. Where Sales Navigator is kind of a separate product that sits on top of LinkedIn, and you do have to learn how to use it, but it can be incredibly useful. What I like to say is it costs about $800 a year, and if you in that year get one new client that pays you more, right? It's absolutely can be worth it. But again, like a gym membership, if you have it and don't use it, why?
Yeah. To me, the expanded search function alone is well worth it. I mean, actually, the free version has excellent search capabilities, but Navigator blows it away. It's just incredible. Plus the ability to save lists and things like that. And you and I did a program recently, I think it was just last week, for the private group. This is a public group, the Sales Pro Network, and I also have the Sales Pro Insider Network. And one of the things you talked about, which I did happen to know about, but I'm not sure many people do, is that you can actually export all your contacts from LinkedIn. You're not going to have all their email addresses. Would you like to just talk about that for a second? How can people do that? Why should they do it? And you actually said something in there, by the way, that I wasn't aware of. I can export all my recommendations. I did not know that. Please talk a little bit about that.
So you can export a lot of information actually from regular LinkedIn, a lot of data, including the text from your profile, your recommendations, a spreadsheet of your connections. Those are my favorite ones. And I recommend doing it at least quarterly because of a couple things. What if your account got restricted? What if LinkedIn went away? I don't know, right? This is your information. And the recommendations I love because then you can use it in different places. You can put it on your, if you have a document of some sort of flyer, you can put it on your website. It's great to have. And then the connections, I know people who use that spreadsheet kind of in place of a customer relationship management tool because they don't have one. They just add extra columns, they sort it, they do all sorts of things. And it's so much information. We're all connected to more people than we actually know or remember. So certainly worth having that information outside of LinkedIn.
Yep. I'm not sure that everybody knows this, especially people who are newer to LinkedIn, but LinkedIn actually started out as a networking vehicle. It was in-person networking brought into the cyber world, but now it's of course way more. It's used for selling. It's used by recruiters. Recruiters use it extensively. What are some of the things that a sales rep who's looking for a job, what should they be doing on LinkedIn?
Well, first of all, to me, everything starts with the profile. If you imagine a house, the strong foundation is your profile. So you want to have it present you the way you want to be seen. And then, of course, it's the engagement, the conversations, the networking aspect where you can be connected with and having conversations with people who can either refer you, hire you, etc. And then if you're up to it, you can share content. So you can share your expertise and thought leadership with the community, and magic things just happen. So People are always looking at, oh, I want this engagement. I want people looking at my posts. I love the lurkers. There are people who you're connected with, who see your content, never comment, never like it, but then one day they pick up the phone and they say, hey, I have a gig for you. So yeah, just be active, be out there. People will see what you're up to, what your expertise is. And I use it as an extension to the in-person or virtual networking that I do too, right? It was how many cups of coffee or how many one-to-ones can you have in a day, but yet you can engage with somebody's content really easily.
Yeah. And speaking of cups of coffee, I can only give you my opinion. LinkedIn is not the place to be posting pictures of your meal or your political views. And I've seen people get into arguments about that. You want to do that? I think Facebook's a great place to do that stuff. But the thing I think that people should keep in mind is that the internet doesn't go away. When you post stuff on the internet, whether it's LinkedIn or any place else, it ain't going away. And I know that companies are paying very careful attention to people's social media profiles when they hire them. I've been telling I've got one that graduated last year. My twins are graduating in a few days, thank goodness. But I've been very clear with them. Don't post anything that's going to make you look negative, because employers are looking at that stuff. Who was it? The Olympic, Michael Phelps, Olympic athlete, golden boy. There was a picture of him bonging, and his endorsement deals went away. Be smart about what you're posting, especially on LinkedIn, because to me, Facebook is fun, and I think consumer products can use it, but LinkedIn is the place for business. There's over a billion with a B people on LinkedIn, I think in over 200 countries. I always say this: your prospects are on LinkedIn. I don't care what you're selling. Your prospects are almost definitely on LinkedIn. So be smart about what you're posting. Look, you know me a long time. I do have very definite political views, but they sure aren't going on LinkedIn, because I don't need to turn off half the country. And today we are living in an environment where you're either on one side or the other. It just doesn't make sense. Okay. I already asked you about that because you were ahead of me. Oh, you asked me that too. Look at that. I have my questions written out. What about LinkedIn Premium? You already brought that up. What about LinkedIn Games? You got that one. Here's one. Thought leader. That's a term that gets tossed around a lot. And what should we be doing on LinkedIn if we want to become known as what is a thought leader? I mean, it sounds self-explanatory, but what should we be doing on LinkedIn if we want to be known as a thought leader in our industry?
Well, to me, it's really simple. Well, there are two parts to it. One is sharing your own content. So not just taking an article you read somewhere. Yes, if you do share an article, add why you're sharing it. So but it's really sharing your thoughts, your ideas, your expertise with people so that they know what you're all about. The other part that I think people think of less is you can engage in conversations with other people, with people you see as experts in your industry, so that you become in their inner circle, right? You get to know them, they get to know you. That's something I think people don't do as often as they share content. So it's really both.
Got it. And a lot of people have a badge that says top voice this, top voice that, top voice the other thing. Do you put any stock in that? And how does I actually know the answer to this because I recently did it, but how does someone become a top voice?
Yeah. So there are two kinds of top voice. The blue one is something that LinkedIn awards people. And honestly, I know people who have it and are not really sure why they got it. So it's sort of this not random, but people at LinkedIn decide to give it to you. The yellow or gold top voice, it's very gamified. You get that if you engage with enough of the collaborative articles. And in case people don't know what that is, those are AI generated articles that are pretty bad, but then you can comment on them. And when it first came out, I was testing it and I had something like 12 badges for different topics. For me personally, it's not worth my time there are other things I'd rather do with my time on LinkedIn. But I love that they're experimenting with AI and seeing how it can be used. So the people who are promoting it like, hey, I'm a top voice and blah, blah, blah. No, you're not. You commented on enough collaborative articles. Yeah.
It's a hack. If you comment on 3 of those articles, and you're right, they're written by AI, and they're often like, really? But if you comment on 3 of them, suddenly you've got that top voice badge. And I
But
gotta tell you, I don't know that it's doing me any good, but I don't think it's doing me any harm to say top voice sale in direct sales.
it's
Not a
not.
bad thing.
And for the people that don't know, when they come to your page and they see that, there may be a little bit of, oh, he's top voice.
Exactly right.
The other thing that has been interesting, though, is I've met people or people who have met me because of the comments. So if somebody reads my comment or I read their comment, I've had people reach out and say, hey, I really like what you said about. So it's a way to start a conversation with somebody that you might want to connect with.
Got it. Okay, we're going to take a 60-second break because we're halfway through. We're talking to Beth Granger, a friend of mine and a LinkedIn guru. We'll be right back with a word from our sponsor, which is me. Hi, I'm Jeff Goldberg, the founder of the Sales Pro Network. For nearly 5 decades, I've been selling, managing, coaching, and training salespeople internationally. And I'm often asked for one-on-one or private coaching, but it does involve a substantial investment. For that reason, I've recently developed the Sales Pro Insider Network community. It works like this. We get together twice a month on Tuesday nights from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. At the first session of the month, it's you and me, with me taking your questions and giving you the advice and help you need to both prospect and sell more effectively. At the second session of the month, we'll have a guest coach speaking on a fascinating topic that helps sellers like you and me. And of course, we'll do group coaching then too. The best part is the investment is just $27 for the first month, and there's no long-term contract at all. In fact, you can cancel at any time. Go to crushsalesgoals.com. That's crushsalesgoals.com. I hope to see you there. All right. Sorry, I had a little break there for a second because my dog started barking, so I've got to let him out of the room because they're putting up my awnings outside. Oh, now he's going nuts. All right.
And for people who might be joining us just now or late, everyone, it's Jeff's birthday. Wish him happy birthday in the chat.
Thank you, Beth. There was something I wanted to ask you that I didn't write down. I know. I was just going to say that, for the Sales Pro Insider Network, you were my guest this month. Beth talked about how we can use LinkedIn to increase our sales and prospecting efforts. In May, which is May 28th, I have Coach Judy Kane. She's going to talk about how to get rid of head trash, the little stuff that holds us back, that with that little voice that's talking to us all the time, telling us stuff that we believe. And if you don't know what little voice I'm talking about the little voice that just said, what little voice is Jeff talking about? How about posting, Beth? Some people write text, some people use video, some people post polls. Is there something we should be doing? Should we be varying it? What gets the best results, or is it just hit or miss?
So I like to say, if you're just getting started, do the kind of content that will be easiest for you to do. In other words, if you think best in writing, so then write stuff. If you're comfortable if you're better at just jumping on your phone or jumping online and doing a video, do that. But then I would encourage you to experiment with all the different types of content that you can do, because different subsets of your network like different things. I was just saying earlier on a call that I was on, I have friends that share their podcasts. Well, I don't listen to podcasts. I used to when I had a lot of time in the car, but now I'm hardly ever in the car. So I'm not going to hear it. So there are some people who like video. So if you do a video, they're going to watch it. There's some people that like to read. There's some people that like images. So I would experiment and see which type of content works for you and for the network that you have. And you're going to see different people engage with different types of content. So some people you'll see that they always engage with your video, or they always engage if you do a poll. So try all the different ones. And because the algorithm's always changing, I don't worry about that. However I can get the message and the information out that I want to get out, that's how I'm going to do it.
I was told by our mutual friend Joe that I should vary my posts, because when I first met him, I was posting memes every day. Why? I like memes. He said, no, you got to mix it up because people will get bored. And I actually went from 700 to over 7,000 followers in one 12-month period. And the only change I really made was I varied my posts. How about frequency? How often, if we're looking to develop a following on LinkedIn and maybe become a thought leader, how often should we be posting?
This is where people will tell you, oh, I did a study, or you should post every day at 2 o'clock. Or I also worry less about that. It seems like, I will say that it seems like posts have a longer life than they used to. So sometimes, for instance, I won't post every day because I want a post that's doing well to continue to have engagement. And it seems like, again, this is just an observation I've had, that if I do a new post, it's kind of like saying, hey, LinkedIn, ignore the post from yesterday. Here's the new one to focus on. But if I have something to say, like if I needed to promote that I'm coming here today to be with you, I have to, so I do. But I don't stress about it in terms of, honestly, there are weeks where I post maybe once, and then there are weeks where I post every day because I have something I want to share. Can you post too much? Maybe, but I forget somebody recently proposed the idea of, people say don't post too much, but they tried posting multiple times in a day to see what would happen, and it didn't cause a problem, and people did see all the posts. So post when you have something valuable to say. Don't post just to post.
Yeah. I post once a day, sometimes more often. I typically don't, excuse me, on the weekends, but I was recently watching in fact, I haven't finished it yet. There was a YouTube video that Alex Hormozy put out. Do you know Alex Hormozy? Mm-hmm. Oh boy. You might want to follow that guy. He built this incredibly huge, monstrous business, making gazillions of dollars. And he's kind of a marketing expert. He wrote a couple of books. One is $100 million leads, and the other one is $100 million offers. And he's got another one, but he gained 7.8 million followers in 40 months the video I'm watching is how I gained 7.8 million followers in 40 months. And he's a pretty cool guy. And he's a fan of posting pretty damn regularly. By the way, somebody's interested. Bruce Casserman says, please post your info. We should talk. Bruce, I'll be posting at the end of this. We'll certainly give you Beth's information, and you're always able to reach out to me. Beth's a personal friend, and I can get you in touch with her. Beth, if we want to use LinkedIn for prospecting, how can we go about building a targeted prospecting list using LinkedIn?
Well, we were talking about this before. The search is amazing to, think about. And to me, there are two directions I go on this. There's your ultimate prospect if what you need to know about them is something they put on LinkedIn. So for instance, if your ultimate prospect is a lawyer, yes, you can search for lawyers on LinkedIn. But what if you're a divorce attorney, your ultimate prospect is somebody who's looking to get divorced? That's not something you can search for on LinkedIn. So that's where you'd want to search for your referral partners. So I tend to go in both directions. So if you can search for your ultimate client prospect, you search for their job title or something about them, and you can bring up a whole list of people. Same thing for who's your best referral, who's given you the most referrals, what is their job title, and can you build relationships with more of those people. I also recommend, because there are so many people, right, on LinkedIn, you can actually, remember we talked about downloading your connection list. You can actually start by prospecting within the connections you already have. I call that finding diamonds in your database. So there are people that we connected with because we were at some event with them, but we've never spoken with them, and they might be our ideal prospect or referral partner.
Yeah, I love the idea of not just prospecting for direct sales, but for referral partnerships. I think that's something that so many people miss. I'm constantly looking for who are the people that are selling to my customer, but are not competing with me. Like I like talking to recruiters who recruit salespeople and sales managers and sales VPs. We're selling to the same people. We're not competing at all. I can refer them. They can refer me. So, it's a great way to make it, because we both believe in networking very deeply. It's a great way to make relationships without having to pick up the phone and cold call or do some other things. Plus, and I'm 99.9% sure you'll agree with me, when somebody refers you, when you have a referral partner who makes the right kind of introduction, the prospect is halfway sold before you even talk to them, because we're banking on the social capital of their connection that's making the introduction for us. And you are an expert at networking. Why don't you talk a little bit about the group that you facilitate for, and what that's about?
Actually, I no longer facilitate that group. But I'll tell you, about 14 years ago, before I started my business, I was introduced to a group called American Business Associates, which you are also a member of. This amazing group of people knew I was starting my business before I did. And for about 2 years during the pandemic, I actually led one of the councils. I have disbanded it and sent them to the people to other councils. But it's what's amazing about it to me. And of course, I'm involved in other groups or have visited other groups over time. But what I love about this specific group is it's what I would say is non-transactional, meaning I might have a referral for Jeff. He may never have one for me, but someone else in the group is. And there's this overall understanding that a rising tide raises all ships, and that there are different ways to help each other. So you can help somebody by giving them information. You can help somebody by inviting them to an event. That's not always a direct give and get of referrals.
Got it. And speaking of groups, you have a group called Linked Leaders. What's Linked Leaders, and what's that about?
So that's a kind of like your sales, the one I visited. What's your group called?
The Sales Pro Insider Network.
So mine's
what
called
we're on
Linked
right
Leaders.
now is the Sales Pro Network, and then there's the Sales Pro Insider Network.
Got it. So a couple of years ago, I had a client who I worked with one-to-one. And at the end of that time, he said, "This has been great. I've learned so much, but LinkedIn keeps changing. I'm going to want to ask you questions. Have you ever thought of?" And he designed the program for me. So it's a small group. We meet once a month, and it's here's what's new, and then ask me all the questions, or look at this post. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with something that I'm trying to accomplish on the platform?
Got it. And that's a subscription service, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah, like the Sales Pro Insider Network.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. Come pick my brain, ask me whatever questions you want. You can look. I think you do one-to-one coaching also, like I do. But,
I do.
As it said in the commercial that I showed a few minutes ago, there is a substantial investment. The tough thing for me is the people who most need my one-to-one coaching can't afford my one-to-one coaching, which means they should be investing in it anyway so that they can afford it. But if you don't have enough money, you don't have enough money. So the Sales Pro Insider Network is a way that people can, and I'm assuming like your subscription service, it's a way that.
Go ahead. Sorry.
The way that people who can't afford the one-on-one can still get a lot of the help that they need, so that hopefully eventually they can afford to make the investment in private coaching if that's what they want.
Yeah. And I was going to say mine, and perhaps yours is like this a little bit too. It's almost like a maintenance plan. If somebody has already worked with me one-to-one and they don't need that intensity of attention anymore, it's a way to stay up to date on what's going on and be able to ask those questions.
Got it. And you also offer, and I didn't realize this because I only saw it when I went on your website, content coaching. What I think I know what it is, but what is content coaching?
Yeah.
And who needs it, by the way?
So this is for people who need help with, they go to LinkedIn and it's like going to a blank page, and what do I do with content? How do I, we were talking about it a little bit, but do I write something? What do I write about? So some people really want that almost like personal trainer at the gym, but for their LinkedIn, both content and behavior on the platform.
Got it. And do you do done for you content?
So I have something that I haven't done it with anybody yet, but I've just started to talk about. Most of the time I guide people on developing their own. But I've had a couple people say, "I just don't have the time. Can you do it, Beth?" So what this is where I interview them for about a half hour once a month. And that interview is recorded. And then magic people behind the scenes take that and turn it into a month's worth of content. It could be video, text, audio, an ebook, whatever they might need for a month's worth of content from that 1.5 hour conversation.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know that when you're good at something, it's kind of stunning that people aren't good at it. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but
Yeah.
I'm prolific. I'm good at writing. And when people ask, well, Jeff, how do you come up with your ideas for posting? I'm like, I just think about what are the people who I want to sell to need? What's something that I'm good at that I can talk about that would help those people? And, stuff pops into my head. But I hear that a lot. So I think, if that's something you're interested in, I would promote that, because I wasn't aware that you did that. And I love that you can do an interview, and with a half an hour interview, come up with tons of content, which made me think, when you say the little people behind the scenes, is that AI, or do you actually have sales people that?
No, it's people doing it.
People. So I'd like to ask you a little bit about AI and LinkedIn. Our mutual friend, who I mentioned before, offers a product that's an add-on to your LinkedIn profile that helps you write posts and do a whole bunch of other things. And I think his product is excellent if you like that kind of thing. I personally I'm certain every time I read something that was written by AI, I go, that was written by AI.
Yes.
So what's your feeling about using AI to write content to post on LinkedIn?
So I don't know if you've seen that meme. There's a meme going around where it says something like, I don't want AI to write or create art for me. I want it to clean my house so that I can write and create art.
No, I haven't seen that, but I love it.
And that's kind of what I think about. I think you can't automate relationships. So I don't want AI to write comments for me. I want an actual conversation like I would have with a human. When it comes to content, however, it can be a great, like if you have writer's block, it can be a great way to get some ideas to reflect off of. Even if you say, ugh, I don't like any of those ideas, it may give you an idea. Or it can come up with a list of things, for instance, and then you can, I would never advise, though, using it as given. I would take it and make it your own, because I did an experiment actually with 5 friends. We put the same exact prompt into ChatGPT to see how similar the response would be. And it was very similar. It wasn't exact, but it was very similar. And I feel like it may get better. I would assume it'll get better, but right now I feel like it doesn't have any soul. It doesn't have that personality so you want to make it your own, however you start with it. I do think it can be great for certain things. I'm playing with some tools where you put in a long form video and it attempts to chop it up into shorter videos for you. It's definitely not 100%, but I'm playing with it. And I love that idea of making something easier to do that used to take a long time.
Yeah, that's my feeling about AI too. It's great for that first idea. And it can certainly write posts and content for you, but I would never ever take what it wrote and just post it, because again, I read stuff, I'm going, that was a robot. And you and I know agree on this. People do business with people, not robots. I think, and I just saw a post on this. I think it was on LinkedIn this morning, or it might have been it was on a Facebook group for salespeople. But it was, are you worried that we're all going to lose our jobs because of AI? I'm not anytime soon. And I can't speak about other careers, but for salespeople, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. It may be 5 years from now or 10. I don't know, but it's not going to happen tomorrow. But I do believe that the salesperson that embraces AI and figures out how to use it as the tool that it is most likely going to be more successful than the person who says, I don't want to deal with robots. I mean, you got to wake up. The world is changing, like this, as we know, LinkedIn, boom, boom, algorithm. So I think people do need to be aware of it and use it as the tool that it can be. You're also involved with an organization called Exactly What to Say. I think we all want to know exactly what to say when we're selling. Can you tell us about Exactly What to Say and what that does and what that is?
Sure. So I'm an Exactly What to Say certified guide. And what that means is I've been trained and licensed, approved to use this work in any way that I want. So I can add it to what I teach people and work with people on in their LinkedIn world, or I can go out and help people have more powerful, it's all about having more powerful, critical conversations. And that could be a sales conversation, a leadership conversation with somebody on your team. It could even be personal. The way I've been using it is adding it to the LinkedIn thing. So what am I saying when I reach out to a connection that I've had for a long time, but I've never spoken to? What do I like? Those kinds of things, the nuances of what to say on LinkedIn or when networking.
Got it. Okay. And there's another thing that I've noticed a while back, creator mode. What is creator mode? Should we have that turned on? Is it for everybody? Tell us a little bit about that, please.
So that just had a change. What it used to be a button that you would turn on, and it would change the format of your profile to highlight your content over your other information. Plus, it immediately gave you access to LinkedIn Live, LinkedIn newsletters, and LinkedIn audio, which some people really wanted. It also, at the time, changed the default button. If somebody visited your profile that wasn't connected with you, they would see follow instead of connect. They recently changed it. So it's kind of weird because it still exists, but not exactly, because all the profiles have gone back to the regular order of things, which what you see first. I can now change that button to be connect instead of follow. And I still have access to all those features. So it's kind of like it, I mean, it does exist, but it's weird. Yeah, but if you,
Is it like Schrodinger's LinkedIn?
it kind of is, yeah. So and I think they've said, and maybe I misunderstood, but that they're giving access to these features to anybody. So I don't know if you have to go into settings and turn on creator mode in order to get them, or just everybody's going to have access to them. I haven't really looked.
And you brought up an interesting point. Do we want connections? Do we want followers? Do we want both? What's the difference?
Yeah. So
I like when you go, tasty.
this is a little math for you. Math equation. All connections are followers, but you can have followers that are not connections. So when you connect with somebody, send them a connection invite, they say yes, that person is both a connection and a follower. If there's someone that you don't know well enough yet, but you want to see what they're up to, you can follow them, which means you're more likely to see their content, but you don't see their connections, for instance, things like that. You're not connected. It's more of an audience type of thing. And when creator mode was creator mode, what it was, I used to say, if you're looking to build your network, have the connect button. If you're looking to build an audience, have the follow button. Mm-hmm. Some people also like the follow button because they felt it reduced the spam requests, but I haven't noticed that. It's just that people have to know how to click on the more or the three dots to send somebody a connection invite if they have follow on.
So as a networker, I want more connections, but as a content creator, I want more followers. So I want both.
Yeah.
I want it all.
I currently have the follow button on. And what I do is I regularly look at new followers and see if I want to invite them to connect.
Got it. And we talked a little bit about profile before. I mentioned that, have a professional picture, or at least an attractive picture where you're smiling. And, you talked about the services. What else should we know about our profile? What are some of the things that we should be doing? What are some of the things we should stay away from? What's important in a profile?
Well, there's one thing that really bugs me that some people do. In your about section, please have it be in first person. Say, I am, not Jeff is. It's just so weird when you go and it's in third person, you feel like someone else wrote it. It puts up a wall. It makes you feel like they're less likely to want to have a conversation with you. So I know it's a little thing, and just my opinion, but I think it should be first person. The other thing is an overlooked feature that I love is the featured section. Do you have the featured section?
I do.
It allows you to essentially pin content that you want people to see. And especially on mobile, we know that over 60% of the visits now on LinkedIn are from mobile, and it takes up the whole screen. So it's a scroll stopper, right? Somebody's looking through your profile and suddenly there's this thing that you want them to see and it's right there. So I think it's a great feature that not everybody has.
And what about recommendations versus endorsements?
Recommendations win, right? It's written content. You can download it and use it in other places. The endorsements, it's so gamified and so like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I put no stock in endorsements. When I see people have 1 million endorsements, I put no stock in it simply because I have people endorsing me every day for stuff who I have no idea who they are. I don't know why they're endorsing me. Well, I do know why. I think that they think that if they endorse me, I'm going to endorse them back, which I'm not going to do because I only endorse you. I would endorse because I know what an expert you are in so many areas, but I'm not going to do that. But when I read a recommendation, it means somebody took the time to write something. Now, of course, you're not going to post bad recommendations. You're only going to post, say, things that it's like asking people for references. I'm always, internally laughing when somebody asks for references. I'm like, I'm happy to give you references. Do you think I'm going to introduce you to people who don't like me? I'm going to introduce you to my mom. You're not going to know it's my mom, but she's going to say very nice things about me. But I do read those recommendations because it does give you a clue as to what people do and what people think of their work. And again, I am going to post. I am going to look at anybody's profile before I do business. If you're going to pitch me on something, you can bet I've gone to your website, your LinkedIn profile, and I've probably done a Google search on you. It's too easy to find out all kinds of cool information today. I think most sales experts agree that today, before you engage with a prospect, they're 70% of the way through the sales process before they even talk to you because they've done all kinds of research about you and your product or service.
Yeah. And now with the services section being so prominent, you're going to want to go and get some of the recommendations there. They call it something else, but testimonials, I guess.
I made a note while we were speaking that I need to go into my services section because every time I speak to you, I learn something more about LinkedIn, and it seems we could probably speak every 10 minutes and there is something more or new. Any final words today on what we should be doing on LinkedIn?
Just be a human, have human conversations, and then it'll be all right.
Now I just did something that I don't. Oh, there we go. Okay. Let me quickly share my screen. I do have your contact information. Let's see. Here it is. For those who are watching live, they'll be able to see it. But Beth, would you please tell people how to reach for you for those who will be listening on a podcast later on?
Absolutely. So my email is beth@bethgranger.com, and that's GRANGER. My website is bethgranger.com, but I don't really use my website because I use LinkedIn. My messages are open on LinkedIn. I ignore the spam and salesy stuff so that it makes it easier for people to reach out to me if they want to.
And you want to give your phone number?
Sure. 516-515-1213.
And before we go, you just said your messages are open on LinkedIn. What does that mean? And should we be doing that?
So that's in the settings. You can decide that anyone on the platform can send you a message. Some people don't like that, and it's not on by default. You have to turn it on. Some people don't like it because you will get more of the sales pitches and the annoying stuff. But I've decided to I will deal with that to make it easier, especially because I have the follow button on, to make it easier for people to get in touch with me.
Got it. Well, before we go, Michael North said he loves being human and he loves authentic human connections. I love it too. And Beth, thank you for being my friend. Thank you for sharing your brilliance so generously and always being available to me when I need advice on LinkedIn. And I'll end as I always, and thank you for sharing my birthday with me, by the way. And I'll end as I always do. Please remember, guys, that sales is a game of making things happen. So get out there and make sales happen. Have a great weekend, everybody. Have a great weekend, Beth. Thanks.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.